Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Quixote and Lewis. Let's mark out.
Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to episode 72. This is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your boy, Quixote, joined by none other than Streaming Joel.
Yo.
Birthday. Yesterday was his birthday, so give this man some love.
Thank you.
What's happening, brother? How you doing, man?
Not much, man. Enjoy some wrestling yesterday. I wasn't there live like someone, but
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I did enjoy some wrestling on my birthday, which is always great.
Nice. Well, welcome to the show, y'all. This is as you can see, it's a two-man booth. Our boy Lewis is on assignment, aka he just said he wasn't going to be on the show, so we'll see him. We'll see him next time. But welcome to the show, y'all. So listen, I had the pleasure of going to AEW Dynamite last night in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And by all intents and purposes, by the looks of the card, you would have thought the show was amazing. Like it was fire, right? My boy and I, who's a casual AEW fan, went, and when we got there, let's just say he was depressed. He got depressed, Joel. He got there and he said, "Wait a second, you mean to tell me that whole other side of the arena ain't filled?"
Damn.
I'm like, bro, no, it's not filled.
The
And
whole hard cam side.
the whole hard camp side, bro.
Wow.
Joel, we were up top, but
Man.
and in Bridgeport, this arena is not big.
Mhm.
Number one, it's not big, but we were up top, and we and above us, that whole area was empty. I mean, you
Damn.
maybe had a couple people spread out throughout, but most of the entire area was empty. If you haven't guessed it, y'all, this is my thoughts on the AEW live experience. Now, you know, I've been to a Collision, which was pretty full. I've been to a Collision. I've been to a Dynamite. I went to a Grand Slam Dynamite, which was not full, but better.
Yeah.
But this right here, man, you know, it was tough, Joel. It was
Damn.
tough. What was like? What was it like for you home watching it? Did the crowd seem off? Did they seem into it? What did you notice?
The crowd was very lukewarm, in my opinion. And I think this is both of these things are stemming from like the same problem, in my opinion. Like the live audience is definitely dwindling, and then the viewership is dwindling as well. And the crowd is you could tell the crowd is kind of just there, but not really there to see anyone in particular. And I think that's the big issue. There's no big person to sell me to go to a show right now in AEW. Like
that's true.
Unless you're announcing Kenny Omega's return or maybe MJF for some people, but no one's gonna go see Moxley right now. No one's gonna go see Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin. They're not big enough to sell tickets, unfortunately. And I think that's the big issue right now. There's no big baby face that's gonna get that crowd engagement. There's no one really there. Like, OC, Orange Cassidy, he's doing this main storyline now where he's trying to, beat Moxley and win over the AEW title, whatever. But the whole problem with that is that his character is based on someone who doesn't really care about wrestling.
Right, exactly.
So,
like, is that the guy that should be leading your locker room?
And, and I understand that. I understand that's the story they're telling. He has to step up and become the leader that he's meant to be, whatever. But it's not working because the basis of the story is that he doesn't care. So if he doesn't care, why should anyone else care, right?
Exactly.
So I could definitely see, just knowing from watching the show and seeing how it was even a couple months ago, maybe when Swerve was champion And he was like, he had a hot run. Like the crowd reactions were so different back then, even to now, which wasn't even that long ago. So it's interesting. I think this Moxley storyline might be biting them in their ass a little bit, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's what AEW was counting on to bring the eyeballs back to the product. Is like, I think they thought this Moxley thing was going to be like, it's going to be a hit. It's something different. It's something, it's a different mashup of wrestlers that's in it. But as good as Moxley is in it, you're right. There's no baby face stars for me to care about anything else that's going on, right?
Exactly.
The as you could see with the individuals who were protecting AEW, they were all the mid-card, lower mid, they were all the jobbers of the entire company. Like they're where's your stars at, right? But man, dude, at the arena, you're absolutely right, Joel. The crowd was dead. It was, your boy Justin Roberts is trying during the commercial break, trying. Hey, 102, 103, like calling out the different sections. And he's just getting he's getting very little response, very little. But AEW has a problem, Joel. They got a problem. I'm going to tell you what that problem. There's a lot of them, but this problem specifically, there's nothing going on during commercial breaks of live shows, right? There's not even a screen playing like old clips of stuff. It's nothing. It's just dead silence. It's just very bad production, on my opinion. You're not doing anything to keep the crowd engaged. So because of that, people are they're just not engaged, man. There was a lot of problems with last night, Joel. Another one being the merch table was trash. Why? Where are your shirts, man? Where's your stuff?
You would think too, because the way they put out shirts, they put out a shirt for like any little saying that someone says. But exactly. I had the same exact experience when I went to Forbidden Door in Toronto 2 years ago, I think, or a year ago, whatever it was. And same thing, the merch stand was terrible. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like they had Bullet Club gold shirts, even though they weren't on the card. It was like, yo, what do you like? I want to buy someone who's actually wrestling tonight, you know?
Exactly.
Like it made no sense. You could tell that there's a lot of like miscommunication might be happening between parties. Like it seems like no one's steering the ship,
That's what it felt like. It felt like even when Tony came out twice last night, Tony Khan, he got cheered, and of course you had the marks who booed him and all that stuff, right? He got booed. But if you're Tony Khan and you're walking out of that tunnel and you're seeing the crowd, do you not register that there's something wrong here? Like is there something not registering that Joel, it just felt like everybody was sad. Like Shivani, everyone's introducing Tony. Justin Roberts is introducing Tony Schiavone, and Tony just turns and it was like just this wave of
here to collect my check.
I'm here for another 2 hours, and then Nigel McGuinness, who kind of, even though he's decent commentary, he's kind of phoning it in. He's in a t-shirt and jeans. He's kind of just like. He's just there, and as soon as Dynamite goes off the air, he picks up his stuff and just goes out, like just leaves. Like it just doesn't. It just seems like everyone is like legit independent contractors. Like they're just legit all working for themselves and just don't care, bro. Man, Joe, man. This was a glaring look into this AEW, and I don't even know what they need to do, bro. What do you think? What do you think?
It just goes to show too, like how important that live show experience is. Because look, like your boy he's a casual AEW fan. Now I bet you won't even
Yeah.
watch AEW anymore after that.
Yo, he doesn't. He's second guessing Full Gear now. He's like,
Exactly. You
I don't know
see?
if I want to sit through this. Like,
And
yeah, he's second.
this is the problem, because once you have a bad live show experience, that next time you come around to that same town, same building, it's gonna be worse, because people are
Yep.
gonna be like, "Oh no, I remember I went last year, it wasn't great." And now
Yeah.
that's a whole crowd of casual fans that might have just been like looking for something to do on a Wednesday night. Now they're like, you know what? I'd rather just stay home. And you're losing that live crowd. And it is a big problem, man. And I mean, I think I've been to 3 AEW shows total, 2 Dynamites and Forbidden Door. Both
Okay.
Dynamites the crowds were hot, crowds were pretty packed. This was during CM Punk's era of AEW,
Okay.
so
Okay.
I think that had a lot to do with it as well.
Right.
And then Forbidden Door, obviously, pay-per-views are always going to be, for the most part, either sold out or close to sold out. So that was obviously a good show as well. But I don't know what it is. I've been hearing the same thing since, I would say, this last year. It's just been, the crowds are slowly dying, man.
Yeah, dude, it's dying, and it's dying to the point where breaking news. I don't know if you heard, Joel, but they canceled Collision. They
I did
canceled
hear
a.
that.
They canceled a. Joel,
I I
you
heard that.
canceled a Collision taping, which is your second biggest nationally televised television show.
Yeah, I was just reading up
Ooh,
on that actually
yo,
right
that's a
before.
that's a problem.
Yeah,
That's a problem, Joel.
yeah. So I was reading up on it right before we went live, and apparently they're moving the building to a smaller venue, which is a great.
Wow.
Honestly,
Good.
it's a bad sign for business, but it's a great
Right.
move, I would say, because they need it, man. They need smaller venues. They're gonna be part of like apparently that same day is like a comic book convention, so they're gonna be performing right from that show. So it should be a way smaller, more intimate setting. But that's
Okay.
kind of interesting, and I think I don't know if maybe that's what they're gonna start leaning towards, at least for Collision, because we also heard reports of Hammerstein Ballroom in December, I
Mm,
believe.
I'm not mad at it.
So
Okay.
so if Collision becomes that like different show that has a completely different feel to Dynamite, I think that would be actually a good move. Like, smaller venues, make it look a little more ECW style or something for
Hmm.
Collision, and then keep Dynamite as your arena show, and hopefully start selling more tickets.
I
But
mean, yeah, you might have to
but
do that, man.
yeah, because like right now you're losing out 2 venues a week that aren't sold out. Like that could not be good for business. I know you just got this great TV deal and all that, but there's
Right.
no way you're making money on these live shows if you're not selling out 2 in a week. Like that's not good, man.
Not good.
And we're
That's what I'm.
AEW
Yeah.
fans, so we're not saying this because we're not trying to shit on the product or nothing. We're over here just
Yeah.
like, yo, we want you to stick around.
Yeah, man. We listen. What's keeping AEW around is that legit TV deal, right?
Exactly.
That's the money that's coming in. But you're right. I mean, Joel, maybe they need to explore Hammerstein
Yeah.
or explore the smaller joints. Give Collision, if you're gonna do it with any show, I guess you do it with Collision, right? I guess Tony's ego doesn't want to do that with Dynamite because Dynamite is his like raw. It's his raw, right? So
Yeah.
I still kind of want to truck along and see what happens with it. But if he can get traction with a smaller venue and it looks good, it's produced well, it's shot well, and he can fill that, then maybe you might get some butts in those seats in the bigger places. But maybe you need to crawl before you walk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not a good look. It's you can't Joel, man. It was just I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn, this is the second largest North American wrestling company in the world. And when
Yeah.
you hear that, you think, oh, this should be just as big as WWE. Maybe not bigger, but just as big. But when you get there, when I got there, man, I was like, yo, wow, this is wild. Like,
Yeah.
what do the guys and girls in the back think? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's their reaction when they get to these towns and it looks like it's half full? Like, how do you work like that? Like, Ricochet's coming out. You got Christian Cage. You got it's just the list is crazy. But when you get to the arena, you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god. This is nuts. This is nuts.
Yeah, it almost feels weird to see like stars of that caliber in a place that isn't sold out, right? Like you're seeing Christian Cage, someone who's wrestled at countless WrestleManias,
Right.
and now he's just in a half-empty arena. Like it feels
Yeah.
like a drop down OD, and you don't want that feeling, especially for someone like your friend who's coming as a casual fan, and now he's like, you know what, I'm gonna just stick to WWE.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. I'm gonna sit this one out. Yeah, that's basically what's happening. Now, Joel, here's a question for you, man. Here's a question. Aside from possibly going to smaller venues, what else is AEW facing here when it comes to the state of AEW and its TV and its storylines and stuff like that? It's development. Like, what do you do? Because I was talking to my boy. I was like, yo, there's only one women's match in Full Gear, right? One.
Yeah.
And then it's not like any of the women are getting reps because they don't do live shows. So, so there's like one women's match on all the show, on every show, Collision, AEW, Dynamite or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Last night, Britt Baker comes out, lukewarm reception, bro. Lukewarm. No one cared, really.
Yeah.
She's still not good in the ring. I'm sorry. She is not good. And I think she lost a lot of cachet.
Yeah.
Since all the stuff happened with MJF and the backstage stuff and all this weirdness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole, same thing. Like, not the same. He's not the same guy. Doesn't get the same reaction. The only thing that's over is the baby. That's the only that's over.
That's why they kept the music playing during the matches. I was like, that's so cheap. They kept the music playing.
Exactly. He ain't over like he used to be, man.
Oh man.
Where does AEW go, bro?
Yeah.
What are you doing if you got the pen in your booking? What are you doing?
There's a couple things for sure. Women's division, like you said, needs work. I literally just saw a stat that said Collision only had 45 seconds of women wrestling this past week.
Whoa.
And then I watched Collision and I was like, is that true? Because I was mixing the Collision from the week before, which had the Mariah May and Anna Jay in a pretty good match. But last week's this past Saturday's Collision literally had a 45-second squash match for Chris Statlander versus some like local talent, and that was the only women's match on the whole 2-hour show of wrestling. That is ridiculous.
Damn.
That is ridiculous. Oof. So that's number one. You got to book the women's division better. You have, in my opinion, the greatest assembly of women's wrestlers that I've seen in a long time. And it's just not being utilized. And that's why I think the conversation we had in a previous week where we talked about how NXT's women's division is just utilized better. They're not necessarily better than any other women's division in wrestling, but they're just utilized better. And the show revolves around the woman. The opening segment is usually a woman. The ending segment is usually a woman. The middle segment, like they know how to put the woman, even if the women aren't getting matches, they're putting them in big spots backstage, interacting with the male counterparts as well. And in AEW, we do not see that. We have this whole storyline right now of Mox trying to take over the company, and he has Marina Shafir with him, and not one woman has stepped up. Not one, or Moxley hasn't talked about any of the women either, about them being lazy. He talks about all the men. So it's like you're almost showing in your booking, TK, whoever's booking this storyline, you're showing how much you care about the women.
Right.
Like Moxley should be wanting to change the whole company if he has a problem with AEW, but he hasn't even touched the women's division. He has a woman with him who hasn't touched the women's division. Like, so you're literally putting this woman almost more important than your women's title right now, because Mariah May is nowhere to be seen half the time, but we see Marina Shafir every single Dynamite and Collision at this point. And she's untouchable.
Very good point.
She's untouchable because she's attacking the men, and the men obviously can't attack her back. It's a weird storyline they're doing there. Hopefully something comes from it, but right now I think that's one of the main issues. It's definitely the women's division, and then this storyline with Mox. While it's very intriguing, and I am interested to see where it goes, it might not be the right time for this storyline because it's obviously a long, drawn out story that they're trying to tell. Right. But right now, with the ratings how they are and the crowds how they are, I don't know if you have time to tell this story, because We know it's gonna lead to him versus Orange Cassidy, and then eventually him versus Darby Allin. But how long is it gonna take to get there? And if this is how it's going right now, man, I don't know if we could last that long. And then we have all these different pockets of like different universes in this same roster that doesn't make sense. Like you have Ospreay dealing with his issues with Don Callis family, but at the same time, he's one of the biggest baby faces in the company, so he should be worried about this guy who's saying he's going to take over, but he hasn't even interacted with Mox.
Hasn't even mentioned it.
Yeah,
right.
And then you got Swerve, who just lost a title not too long ago, and he's dealing with Hurt Syndicate. So it's like there's too much happening at once. But at the same time, there's nothing happening at all.
Exactly.
so it's like I gotta give it up to them for telling stories, because that's what we all were saying for a long time. AEW doesn't tell stories; they don't tell stories. Now they're telling a bunch of different stories, but none of them make sense together. And it's like a whole bunch of, you got different factions trying to take over, and maybe this is where it's leading to, a faction warfare or something.
Possibly,
But at the moment, the puzzle is not being cleared enough yet. And I think that's the main issue. And that's why we don't see the crowd interaction as much. Even like Moxley now, it's coming out to almost a dead crowd, which is that's not good, man. He's not getting booed. He's not getting cheered. He's almost nothing. And it's like, whoa, he's your ace. You know, he's your ace of this company. He's getting no reactions barely. Like,
and don't get me wrong, man, because when Moxie came out, he was probably one of the biggest pops aside from Swerve. That got the most love, while they came out. But I agree with you, man. There's a lot of stuff, but there's nothing going on. There's a lot of nothing going on, nothing meaningful. And like you mentioned, you got your biggest babyface Ospreay, who legit is in a conflict with the Don Callis family and Kyle Fletcher. They got their match set for Full Gear.
Yeah.
Yet they haven't. But your biggest babyface hasn't faced the biggest heel, or the biggest or the person who's trying to, like you said, take over the company in Moxley. I guess they're gonna wait. I guess they want to get there somehow. But what you said was interesting, is that maybe they're doing this story too soon, or like, is it?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
It's also so close to the storyline with the Bucks that just happened, where the Bucks were taking over the company. So it's like, how many taking over the company angles can you run in 1 year, right?
Yeah.
But so I'm hoping that eventually it leads to, like this big baby face heel, whatever it might be, Ospreay,
a blood and guts.
or one of those. But like, just giving us that little acknowledgement. Maybe like Ospreay could even straight up say it in a promo, like, once I'm done with you guys, I'm going after Moxley. Like, just say it, so that we know, like, he's not just oblivious. Because right now it seems like he's just an oblivious babyface, and like half the roster feels that way. Because like Swerve, like if they're not dealing with this takeover. Like last night, they were calling it takes over the Superstation or whatever. Moxley takes. What did he do differently? Nothing at all. I thought like his feed was gonna cut into the AEW feed or something. He was gonna be like in a parking lot somewhere giving a promo.
Man,
no, nothing.
I thought that was gonna be like, that was my hook. That was one of the hooks for me to even go to the show. Right? I got those tickets for $40, $40 seats.
It's not bad.
And I was like, yo, Mox takes over the Superstation. I might. He's going to cut the feed. There's going to be some ridiculous promo, lights going out. He's got the headset on in the director's booth. Like, I'm thinking something huge.
Yeah.
But he just comes out and does the same thing. Like, hey, who, you got to be creative. Like, who's doing this stuff, man? Like, who? Like, why did you think, like, oh, it'd be cool, go to the truck, turn off stuff, take over,
ruin the finish to a match or something?
There was nothing. There was nothing, Joel, man. It seems like this company is on like autopilot, but in the worst way. Like it's autopilot. There's no one in the cockpit. It's just a button pushed, and they're just kind of going wherever it takes them, and it's whatever. I don't know, man. I'm still curious. I'm still curious about Full Gear.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good show.
Yeah, it's gonna be at the Prudential Center in New Jersey. I'm very, very intrigued. I'm probably gonna end up going because I got to see what they do. I want to hear and see this New Jersey crowd. I want to see what's going on here, right? And I think the paper, like, AEW delivers on pay-per-views, even on their worst pay-per-view, is always still good. You know what I'm saying? Like, which
100%.
is they haven't had a terrible or bad pay-per-view.
No. And
So
the card looks pretty good so far.
Yeah, the card looks decent.
Yeah, we got Hangman, Jay White. I really like that feud. To be positive for a second.
Let's go there.
Since we've been negative the whole show, the Jay White Hangman feud quietly has been low key one of my favorite feuds in AEW right now. It's been on the low. Jay White got the victory over him, and then Hangman has been selling this knee injury every single time.
Yeah.
And I'm digging that because I think it's going to be a big factor in that match. It's just cool to see like old school. This is just like back to the basics. We wrestled, you beat me, and you hurt my leg. I want to beat your ass for it, but we'll see what happens. And Jay White might come out of it a huge baby face, which I'm hoping is the way that it goes. Yeah. And then I'm also digging Swerve and Bobby Lashley. I think that's gonna be. I can't wait for that. Yeah. I love every time they face off against each other. I'm always thinking like, oh, Bobby Lashley's gonna look so much bigger. And then Swerve has gotten big in the last couple of years, so he looks like up to par, and it's great. Like I'm thinking about how this matchup would have been if they were both in WWE, and I think it would have been completely different. I think they would have just made Swerve look like a dweeb next to Bobby Lashley.
They would have destroyed Swerve.
And I'm like, thank the Lord that this is happening here, where they could both be the best versions of themselves. And I'm excited for that match. And then we have after this week, Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, which obviously is gonna be
gonna be a banger. Yeah.
So the card's gonna be, it's AEW pay-per-view. Like they're always gonna hit with their pay-per-view cards for sure. So
now, do you believe in the whole Orange Cassidy and Moxley? Like, it's just one of those things where it's not believable that Orange even has a chance, right? There's no, even though the match itself will be good, it just doesn't seem storyline wise that's a believable opponent for this Moxley.
Yeah.
Considering the group the Death Rider, the group he's with, and just who he is. Like, it just, I feel like that's a throwaway, like, oh, we all know what's going to kind of happen, but we're going to still get a good match. Like, I think that's what Tony, you're still going to get a good match, but this is kind of predictable. Kind of thing.
100%. I think that's kind of, because Mox did lose to Orange Cassidy before.
Yeah.
So, and it was a really good match.
Yep.
So I think what they're kind of doing with this storyline is Mox is going to be able to get that win back. And also, I think Orange Cassidy is going to come out of it with a whole new, like, for him, I guess, new persona, where he's going to be a little more hardcore, bloodier, maybe. He's already wearing black now.
He's wearing the black now. Yeah.
So I think he's going to come out a little more darker and more serious out of this. And I think that's the point of this storyline. But like you said, it's not believable at all, especially like Mox is a brawler, and especially in this storyline right now, he looks like someone that's willing to get into a fight with anybody. And if you were to be in a bar and you saw Mox at one end and you saw Orange Cassidy at the other end, you know who's winning that fight.
Exactly.
So like it doesn't go with this storyline for sure, because it's like this huge brawler that's been he's like in his best shape of his career right now, and then he's fighting this lazy guy. But whatever, I think it's gonna be a good match, and we'll see what happens at the end of it.
Well, good point. But going back to it for a second, there was so last night there was a huge thing in the arena when Swerve called the town Stamford, Connecticut.
I did hear that.
Instead of Bridgeport. And the crowd, that was the hottest they were ever the whole night. This is Bridgeport. This is one of my pet peeves, Joel, when for any wrestler who's going to go on national TV and announce a town in a promo they're doing, know the town you're in. You're on national television, bro. Like, what did you do? Did you go to sleep, wake up, and then you just ended up in the town, and you're like, all right, well, I guess I'm here, wherever the hell this is. Like, come on, bro. And because of that, the crowd was stepping all over Bobby Lashley's promo, which he had stuff to say.
Yeah.
It just kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah. And
I was
then
like,
Swerve got
come
the
on,
beat
bro.
down, and the crowd still chanting about Bridgeport. No, after the second time that they started chanting "This is Bridgeport," I'm like, all right, guys, nobody cares. I'm sorry, nobody cares about Bridgeport.
They were relentless. I was
No
like,
one
all right,
cares,
guys,
bro.
listen, we did it already. I was part of it. I was part of it. I even started it in my section. But after a little while, you're like, okay, we get the point. It's over. We got it. But yes, I think that match is going to be good. And we're going to get the Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander,
Yeah.
which is again a weird booking because Chris was on a different trajectory
Mm-hmm.
where she was doing the Willow thing, and
Yeah,
she was with
she was-
Stokely
yeah.
and all this stuff. And it just seems to me that they're just kind of feeding people to Mercedes because they have no women developed good enough to put against her. Like, Britt was the biggest challenge, and Britt failed at that because it just wasn't a great match on both ends, but mostly on Britt. It kind of
Yeah.
it exposed Britt more than Mercedes.
Mhm.
Put it that way, right? Mercedes can get away with not a great match here and there, but Britt, not so much. And again, that match might be good, but I need to see. Here's the thing, Joel. I need to see these people on TV. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Like, Mercedes is getting paid millions of dollars. If I'm Tony, you are going out to the ring and wrestling, or you're doing something in front of the crowd. This is our national televised television show. This is not a house show.
Yeah.
This is what are we doing? I just we need like an enforcer back there, bro. And I mean like a hardcore, no BS. We need somebody to help Tony out big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Big time. He doesn't like confrontation. I get it. But it just seems to me that just from being there live, seeing the wrestlers, seeing the crew and how they operate and all that stuff, it just seems like the morale is like, well, it's another Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem like anybody's working for the money they're getting paid. Like it just seems like everybody's out for themselves, putting themselves over, or just kind of skating by. Like, AEW doesn't need any more signings. That's what I'm saying. Like, no more signings. Like, just you might need to cut some of the fat off this steak for real.
Speaking of that, actually,
man.
some news broke right before we went on live. Speedball Mike Bailey might be coming through to AEW soon.
Mike Bailey.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's
TNA, right?
Yeah, his contract
Yeah.
ended November 1st, apparently, and Sean Ross Sapp confirmed that he's most likely AEW bound.
Really?
So you said we don't need any more signings, but they're still gonna keep signing.
Man, I don't know, Joel. Man, I
don't know if Speedball is gonna be the one to make tickets go.
Yeah, I really don't think that's gonna happen.
No offense to Speedball, too. A big fan of his work, but I mean, this is the thing. Like with AEW, with everything you're saying, like 100% agree with you, man. You got all these great signings recently too. Mercedes, Will Ospreay, Okada, and they're barely on TV. Ospreay is obviously the one that's been on TV the most, and you could tell by his reaction that people like seeing him. Right. So why aren't you replicating that with Mercedes and with Okada? Okada should be in matches.
Where's Okada, bro?
And I understand not having Okada week to week because he is an attraction and he should be treated like an attraction. But you should be promoting his next match, promoting his next whatever it is. I know we have the Continental Classic coming soon, so they're gonna start promoting that. But they should be like, hey, in 2 weeks, Okada has a match with, I don't know, Pac, whatever. But like, let us know so that, oh yeah, that's appointment viewing right there. I gotta make sure Okada's gonna be wrestling on national TV. He's only done it like 5 times. Exactly. So every time he wrestles on U.S. television, it should be an attraction. It should be a spectacle, and they're not doing a good job of that at all. And
no.
Same thing with Mercedes.
Lewis, Joel, to be honest, I got to tell you, Okada needs to be on TV most of the time, at least half the time. He's not a special attraction here in the states.
Yeah,
You know
you're
what I'm
right.
saying? Like, not many people know him here in the states unless you're a real fan of and you watch all the stuff. And your currently your average fan does not watch New Japan or has not watched New Japan. So this audience, he needs to be on TV more. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
don't care about He's not Brock Lesnar. He's not Taker. He ain't that. He needs to be on TV more to establish what he did in Japan to the people who don't know him.
Yeah.
And again, another guy who's getting paid. I mean, paid, and he's not on TV. Like
Yeah.
last night, you didn't have any MJF, any Okada, any Young Bucks. Um, I guess Kenny counts, right? No Kenny, no Samoa. Samoa Joe's
Yeah.
rumored to be
It's
coming
another
back
one. Yeah.
soon. Like, you know, it was just very, I don't know. Just seemed very limited in the things they were able to do.
Yeah.
Because people are just, they're not booked, or they're injured, or they're just not there. Like, it's just random. AEW, there's 2 shows, 4 hours of programming. And if you want to include Rampage, there's 5.
Yeah.
Where the hell is everybody at?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
It's almost like I don't know, like Tony Khan is running the company like he wants to compete with WWE, and I feel like maybe that's where he needs to chill and just like, you have all these great wrestlers. You have a pretty core fan base of around 600,000 people that are watching every week.
Mhm.
Maybe just cater to that and be like, yo, this like the tagline says, this is where the best wrestle. So every week we're gonna have one marquee match where it's like, holy shit, I can't believe we're getting Will Ospreay versus Ricochet on TV, or Konosuke Takeshita versus Malachi Black. Like, just do these crazy dream matches that you have the roster for, and just promote it. Be like, fuck it, this is what we're doing. We are the
Yeah.
wrestling show for wrestling fans. If you want to come in, watch it, but don't try to be WWE light at the same time, because that's what I
Right.
feel like is happening. You have these big arena shows with these LED lights and all
Mhm.
these things, and you are doing pay-per-views almost monthly at this point now. It's like you're trying to compete with WWE, when that's an establishment that's basically the same as like Coca-Cola or
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
Kleenex at this point. Like, when you
Yeah.
you think of wrestling, you think automatically WWE, you think Hulk Hogan, you think Vince McMahon, you think John Cena, you don't think John Moxley, you don't think
No.
Orange Cassidy, you don't think Darby Allin. So when I see even the flyer for Dynamite yesterday, on paper, great card, right? We look at that and we're like, wow, this is a great card. FTR versus House of Black, uh,
Mhm.
Orange Cassidy, John Moxley takes over Superstation. So we see
Right.
this as wrestling fans who are in the thick of it. We literally have a wrestling podcast. So we're big wrestling fans. To us, that's a great card. But if I'm a casual who's trying to do something on a Wednesday night and I see these people, I'm like, who are these guys? I never heard of these guys. Like, even if your biggest
Exactly.
person on that card is John Moxley, who on the other show was known by another name, people are gonna be like, who's that? Oh, he looks like that Dean Ambrose guy, right? So
Right.
it's like no one's
Yeah.
gonna really know who these people are, and maybe that's what Tony Khan needs to realize. Like, yeah, you could spend all the money in the world on Okada, Mike Bailey, Will Ospreay, but in like you said, in America, they're not known.
Right.
So you kind of have to make us known to them. Like you
Gotta
said,
make them known, man.
have Okada wrestle 10 matches in his first 2 months, so that we know, oh, this guy's a badass. This
Yeah.
guy knows what he's fucking doing. Because, like you said, he's relying on people knowing the history of New Japan,
Mhm.
TNA,
And that ain't
CMLL.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, for nerdy wrestling fans like us, we might know some of that stuff, but even us, we don't know all of that stuff. So imagine the
Exactly.
casual fan that you're trying to catch their eye. Like, no,
Yeah.
no one's gonna know. They're just gonna be confused every time they put on the show.
Yeah, man. And listen, one thing WWE is doing well and still does well and did well forever is they know how to create stars, superstars,
Yeah.
right? That whole WWE Vince McMahon, we have superstars here,
Yeah.
superstars, right? That is legit true. Now that you look back, you compare the two companies, and you're saying, wow, WWE builds stars, man.
Mhm.
Like they build people who the audience wants to cheer for, wants to root for, wants to buy the book, wants to read about the story, wants to wear the t-shirt, wants to buy the replica belt. You
Yeah.
know, they make you want to be in it
Mhm.
with them. And their stars, their wrestlers, they do that. Liv Morgan has a huge following.
Yeah.
Back even when she wasn't even doing much,
Yeah.
she had she because of who they created her to be and everything that she did on her own,
Mhm.
right? It was a mixture. And
Yeah.
in AEW, you don't get that. Like it's like one sided. Like we're gonna build you and then drop you right down. Like
Yeah.
like it's never even to the top. It's like they get you midway and then you disappear forever.
Yeah.
Um,
Because as you're talking, I'm trying to think of like what stars has AEW created, and
stars,
the
I
only
can't.
one I could say would be Tony Storm with this timeless Tony Storm character. But even then, like that's not on the level of like a
A
Rhea
Rhea
Ripley,
Ripley,
yeah.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
like even like everyone else who's gotten over, I would say that wasn't like a WWE wrestler before or New Japan or something. Like Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, these guys, they've gotten over, but they kind of just gotten over based on who they are, their character, you know?
Yeah.
Like it hasn't really been AEW doing the pushing in my sense. It was more like,
No.
yeah, Orange Cassidy is cool because he wrestles with his hands in his pockets and it's interesting.
Exactly.
And Darby
Yeah.
Allin is cool because he throws his body at his opponents like he has no
Like a
rhyme or
damn
reason.
missile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's something that AEW definitely needs to work on. And I think it's that like different mentality of like WWE is a machine. Nothing
Mhm.
gets done without them knowing what's going to happen. And then in AEW, it's kind of a free for all where I
Yeah.
don't think no one writes promos. I think it's kind of on the wrestlers to do it themselves,
Mhm.
things like that. And it's creative freedom, yeah, but at the same time, sometimes you need to reel in that creative freedom because if not, it's
Yeah.
gonna be all over the fucking place.
Yeah, man. You kind of see it, just by watching the show. Like some people need a writer. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay if you get a writer, man, and
Yeah.
you and that person could collab and come up with some good, smart stuff to say that makes sense. Some people just need a writer.
Yeah.
And in AEW's case, you may need a team of writers to corral all the people who think they know best and be like, yo, listen, we just gonna go a different direction tonight.
Yeah.
And if you're with me, you with me. If not, you can go see Tony. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's gotta be that cut and it's gotta be that simple. Right. But
Sounds like they need Shane O'Mac. Here comes the money.
bro, I listen. I am waiting for him to show up. It could be next Sunday. It could be full gear. Who knows? But I'm waiting for Shane to have something to do with this company. I think it's gonna happen. I just don't know when,
That's the
but I think it's gonna
storyline
happen.
you tell though, man.
Mm,
If he comes and his whole beef is that his father's company was given to his brother-in-law, and now I have to build AEW to take down that company because that's should be my company. I don't know if they want to go and do the whole head-to-head war thing
right,
again, but that's
right.
an interesting storyline. I'm putting on the channel for that, you know.
I'm watching. I see you got me. See, you got me hooked, but you got to do that right. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like that. If you're doing a storyline like that, where WWE is clearly watching H is hearing stuff, he's like, oh, shit, okay, all right,
that could be good, man.
this is interesting. That's a hell of a storyline, and it's got to be done on a level of like a bloodline. Like it's got to be written to the T. You can't just throw some shit out like that and it fails. Like it's because then Shane's cachet is gone. Like his what he's worth now has just diminished because what else are you gonna do with Shane McMahon? Like his goal should be to be the person to come in and save the day, take over, and be the guy to take down the big juggernaut of his father's company or his father's ex company that his brother-in-law now owns. Like
That shit is
that's
good,
all
bro.
that's all you need is that's all you need Shane for,
Yeah.
right? Like anything else is like, we could have done without you. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We'll see. Listen, again, we got another week. The go home show is next week. AEW's got some time to pick up the pieces and see what happens. Maybe they'll move into some smaller arenas or smaller venues and it looks better, and maybe they roll with that just for a little while. Tony needs to kind of, someone needs to be in Tony's ear and be like, yo, listen, man, let's wheel it in. Let's go small. Let's see what happens. Let's see how we do for a couple of weeks and go from there.
Yeah.
But the jury is out. We'll see, man. But this has been good, man. This is episode 72. Little I had to give my thoughts on the AEW Dynamite in Bridgeport,
AEW heavy
Connecticut.
show. We'll talk about WWE next week.
Yeah, we'll get to WWE next week. But I had to give you guys a little insight on what was happening at AEW. It just felt depressing, just like the town of Bridgeport. But it just felt depressing. It felt legit.
You turned heel on Bridgeport.
I just turned heel on Bridgeport. What a depressing city. But yeah, it felt as dreary and dull as Bridgeport did, and it was just like you walked in, you're like, God, like there's no lights, there's no pyro. It's not like a party like WWE. Like it's just we're all just kind of like,
like everybody's embarrassed to be there.
It's like everyone's embarrassed to be there,
even the workers. Damn, that's not good, bro.
Listen, Tony Schiavone, even that guy sitting in front of me was like, yo, Tony Schiavone just looks like he don't want to be here. Like he just doesn't want to be here. He's done. He doesn't want to be here. He's signed. And my boy was like, listen, the only reason why Tony Schiavone probably re-signed is because he's probably got a couple of divorces he's got to pay for. He just needs some money. He needs money. And if AEW is going to be the fools to pay him, I'm going to stay. I'm going to get this money. Yeah, I'm going to get this money. But this has been episode 72, y'all. Thank you for joining us. It's been me and Joel rocking on the mics with y'all. Catch us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. We got the content coming. We we're coming out with all this stuff. Look out for some new stuff coming with the logo. Listen, we're trying to build it. So thank you for your support as always, y'all. Until next time, Joel, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, brother.
You've been listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, a Scriptly adapted production. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at On the Mark Wrestling, and email us at onthemarkpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Sick.
Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. Joel, were you able to go in and create, like, were you creating those little clips? Oh, okay, good, because I was getting alerts. I was like, I ain't doing it, so I hope Joel.
Yeah, I was
I hope Joel's doing it.
And then I needed to I was gonna post some on YouTube, and then I needed to sign into YouTube on my phone, and that whole shit with the code with Lewis started happening.
Yes,